The deepest sexual fantasy of a man does not take place in bed. No, it is not hidden in those films he secretly buries in his browser history. It is not part of conversations with his friends, not even in the darkest corners of the internet. Forget everything you think you know. Forget the myths. Forget the idea that male desire is simple, primitive, almost animalistic. And what if I told you that it is the complete opposite? That his greatest erotic longing is so complex, so psychological and so fragile that most women never discover it. Imagine this: what if you had access to the master switch of his desire? Not the one that only triggers fleeting pleasure. I'm talking about the switch that connects his body to his mind, his instinct to his soul, the one that makes him feel both vulnerable and powerful, the one that makes him dependent, not on your body, but on the way you see him. For centuries we've been told one story. The man hunts, the woman is the prey, he desires, she is desired. But what if that story is the greatest lie of all? What if, in the theatre of seduction, he is secretly waiting for someone to steal the leading role from him? The most powerful fantasy of a man is not something he does, but something he feels. Not an external scene, but an emotion. And the most astonishing part, this fantasy is not about him, but about you. It originates in his mind, yes, but only you can be the main character in it. Are you ready to learn what he truly yearns for in the dark, when he closes his eyes and thinks of the woman who could change everything? Because I assure you, it is not what you are imagining right now. Forget everything you think you know about male fantasies. I know it sounds cliché, but we have been programmed with a very narrow image that male desire is flat, physical, visual, direct. A desire sparked by a short skirt, a neckline, a silhouette in the half-light. Of course that works, but it is the shallowest layer, easily ignited and just as easily forgotten. Fast food for the male ego. But that is not what we are talking about here. Today we go deeper. We are talking about the psychological switch that fully ignites his desire. A kind of longing that does not fade when the lights turn on, that does not vanish the next morning. A desire that engraves itself into his mind, follows him through the day, makes him question things, because this is not about how you get into a man's bed, but how you stay in his head. And believe me, this battle is fought on a completely different battlefield. Understanding this is crucial. It makes the difference between being just an option or becoming a priority, a pastime or a purpose. Most encounters stay on the surface in a predictable role play. He hunts, you let yourself be caught. But in that game, the rules are already written, and the ending is almost always the same. What I am telling you today is how to break that board, how to change the rules in your favor, not through manipulation, but through such a deep understanding of his psychology that you become magnetic in a way he cannot even explain. This is my promise. If you stay until the end, you will discover the blind spot of the male ego, that hidden need, that secret longing, which is the true engine of his strongest attraction. No cheap tricks, no memorized lines. Instead, a map of his emotional labyrinth. You will understand why he sometimes withdraws when you show the greatest interest, why he becomes obsessed with the woman who seems indifferent, why misunderstood independence and strength often have the opposite effect. At the end of this journey, the word fantasy will hold a completely new meaning for you, and you will hold the key to a door in his mind whose existence he himself never knew. Let us begin to unravel this secret with one fundamental truth. He does not only want a body, he wants a mind. He wants to be desired with the same intensity or even more than he himself desires. And here the old story begins to crumble. The classical narrative presents the man as the active subject of desire and the woman as the passive object. He is the one who looks, who chooses, who acts. She is the one who is looked at, chosen, expected. Our entire culture, from fairy tales to romantic comedies, is built on this dynamic. It drives the plot. But what happens in his inner world beyond the social script he is forced to play over and over? The truth is, constantly being the hunter is exhausting. It requires permanent energy, constant validation, an armor against rejection. He must be the strong one, the confident one, the man without doubt. He must initiate, propose, risk. Yet, within that role, a part of him falls asleep. The part that secretly longs to be disarmed. His secret fantasy, the one he tells no one, the one he often does not even consciously admit to himself, is to be the object of your desire. For one moment, he wants to feel what it is like to be the reward. He wants to experience that electric shiver when he is watched from across the room, and knows without doubt that gaze is meant for him. He wants to feel vulnerable in the face of the power of a foreign, feminine desire that is not reactive, but proactive, not a response to his advances, but the cause that sets them in motion. Imagine it like a famous actor. Everyone admires him, everyone wants a picture. Yet deep inside, he longs only to come home and not be seen as a star by his partner, but as a man, with a desire that strips him bare, that makes him feel real. The man in the arena of seduction experiences something similar. He is used to women reacting to his status, his looks, his wit. But what truly short-circuits his brain is a woman who wants him for who he is, who does not choose him because he first chose her, but because she has recognized something in him that awakened her own hunting instinct. Here begins the inner conflict, the duality between the role he must play and the passivity he secretly longs for. The hunter who dreams just once of being the prey. It is precisely within this tension that you can step in and change everything. Here we must finally shatter the myth of the eternal hunter. That idea, however romantic and cinematic it may sound, is a dangerous oversimplification. It is like claiming that the only task of the sun is to shine light, while ignoring gravity, warmth, and solar storms. The role of the hunter is a social construct, an evolutionary survival strategy, but not the entirety of his erotic psyche. Often it is a cage, perhaps a golden one, but still a cage, because in the moment a man feels that he must always take the initiative, he also feels that he may never show weakness, never show doubt. And it is in that crack that true attraction is born. He is profoundly aroused by being pursued. And I do not mean some clumsy game or a forced role reversal. I am talking about something far more subtle, electrifying. A woman who is unafraid to show her desire for him drives him mad. A woman who holds her gaze a second longer than socially acceptable. A woman whose eyes briefly wander to his mouth while they talk. A woman whose voice drops half a tone when she comes closer to him. These are micro-expressions of an active, not reactive desire, signals that she is not merely responding to his charm, but that she herself is a source of power, a force of nature. This creates an irresistible tension. Why? Because it challenges his reality. He is programmed for a script. I move forward, you step back. I suggest, you agree. But when a woman takes the initiative, elegantly and with confidence, the script burns. And in that void, he suddenly stands there, naked, exposed. This exposure, this vulnerability, is incredibly arousing. It is the difference between an action movie and real life in the middle of the scene. Suddenly, he no longer knows what will happen next. For the first time in a long time, he no longer has control. And that forces him to be present, to look, to feel. But what happens afterwards is even stranger and more powerful. When he feels desired in this way, he does not feel emasculated. On the contrary, he feels more masculine than ever, because the proactive desire of a woman does not diminish his masculinity, it confirms it in the purest way. It does not confirm his car, his job, his status. It confirms him, his essence. The message his brain receives is this: I don't desire you for what you have or represent. I desire you, your presence, your scent, the way you look at me. Something in you has awakened something in me. That is the ultimate validation, a boost, for his ego and his testosterone production stronger than any conquest. It tears him away from the role of the provider of experiences and places him at the center of the experience itself. And this shift in perspective, this turn of the story, is the best-kept secret of male desire. And this is where everything flips. Here the final puzzle piece falls into place, and the picture reveals itself with brutal clarity. We have said it excites him to be desired. It drives him mad when you take the initiative. But that is only the antechamber of the ultimate truth, because it is one thing to want him in the moment when you are together. Something entirely different, far more powerful, is when he knows that you want him even when he is not there. The truth that changes everything is this. The greatest fantasy of a man, the pinnacle of his eroticism, the concept that short-circuits him and makes him absolutely addicted, is the idea that you fantasize about him. It is not that you like him or love him. It is that you fill your most intimate thoughts, your time, your imagination with him. That he knows while he is sitting in a boring meeting you might be at home thinking about his mouth, that the last image in your mind before falling asleep is his hands. This is the ultimate erotic validation. Why? Because it surpasses the physical, transcends the moment. It shows that your experience with him was not superficial or fleeting, but so deep that he has colonized your fantasy. For a man whose ego is constantly searching for proof of his potency and masculinity, there is no stronger evidence. It is as if a musician discovered that his songs are not only played on the radio, but also hummed by people in the shower as the soundtrack of their dreams. To know that you fantasize about him sends an unmistakable signal to the most primitive part of his brain. I have won. I did not just catch her attention, I have imprinted myself into her. My essence is so strong that it now lives within her, even in my absence. This thought is more powerful than any compliment, more intoxicating than any perfume, more intense than any climax. It transforms him from a mere participant in a physical act into the god of a universe that he does not control, but inspires your universe of desire. This is the point of no return. When a man knows or even suspects that you fantasize about him, his perception of you changes forever. You are no longer just an attractive woman with whom he shares moments. You become the architect of his ego, the drug he never knew he needed. The mirror that does not show him his usual image, but the version of the man he has always wanted to be, so desirable that he lives inside the fantasy of the woman he himself desires, and this power, to make him feel that way, is the most destructive weapon of seduction. Then comes the all-important question, how do you do it? How do you let a man know that you fantasize about him without coming across as vulgar, desperate, or emotionally too risky? The key lies in elegance, in self-assurance, in the understanding that you are not asking, but declaring. You are not seeking validation. You are giving him a gift, a window into your inner world. Dare to be the initiator, but do it wisely. It is not about suddenly sending him a list of your most explicit fantasies. It is about planting seeds in his mind, leaving small hints for him to dwell on later. For example, instead of waiting for the usual message, "How was your day?" take the initiative one afternoon. "I had a distraction at work today, and it was your fault." Nothing more, no explanations. Let the mystery work. You have opened a door in his head, and he will spend the next hours wondering, what distraction? What was she thinking about? In reality, this effect intensifies. You are in a bar, at dinner. Lean in and whisper something in his ear that only he can hear. It does not have to be crazy. It can be as simple as, "You have no idea what I'm thinking right now while you look at me like that." Or, "If you only knew what I'm imagining we could be doing instead of sitting here." The combination of physical closeness, the intimacy of the whisper, and the content of your words is an explosive cocktail. You lift him out of shared reality and place him into an intimate secret bubble just for the two of you. And most importantly, let him feel that he is the one driving you wild. The power of this strategy does not lie in you being a huntress. It lies in the fact that his effect on you is so overwhelming that it forces you to break the rules. Say it in your own language. Instead of saying, "I'd like to do this to you," say, "You provoke so much in me that I don't even know where to begin." The first sentence presents you as the only active force. The second makes him the cause, the source of power that triggers a reaction in you. What you are saying is, "Your effect on me is so strong that it makes me act this way." And that, for his ego, for his sense of masculinity, is the most addictive drug in the world. Do not be afraid to put your desire into words. The risk does not lie in speaking it. The real risk is to remain unnoticed forever. In the end, when we strip away all the layers of strategy, psychology, and seduction, what remains is a simple human truth. The strongest form of eroticism arises from reciprocity. It emerges in that sacred space where desire is no longer a male monologue, no longer a performance he delivers and you applaud, but a dialogue of two souls, two bodies, two minds, desiring each other without fear and without masks. For far too long we have been trapped in outdated roles, the man as hunter, the woman as prey, the man active, the woman passive. These roles may spark some attraction at first, but in the long term they are a limitation. They create an unbalanced power dynamic where one always holds control. Yet the deepest connection, the one that endures through time, is not built on power, but on mutual recognition, looking into each other's eyes and not seeing conqueror and conquered, but two people, equally vulnerable, equally strong, equally full of desire. Becoming the protagonist of his fantasy is not a trick of manipulation, it is an act of liberation for both of you. For you, it means liberation from the passive princess role waiting to be chosen. It means reclaiming your own erotic power, your right to desire, to choose, to initiate. It means understanding that your desire is not something to be hidden or suppressed, but a force of nature, a gift that, when given with confidence, can transform a man. For him, it means liberation from the constant pressure to always prove himself. When you take the initiative, when you show him that he lives in your mind, you allow him to remove the armor. You allow him to simply be a man, not an archetype. You allow him to receive, to feel, to be vulnerable. And it is precisely in this shared vulnerability that true intimacy blooms. Sex becomes more than an act, it becomes a conversation. Attraction becomes more than a game, it becomes a refuge. Perhaps the real goal is not just to attract a man, but to create with him a space where you can both be completely and wildly free. Now, with this truth, you stand at a crossroads. You can file this information away as an interesting insight, continue as before, wait to be chosen, respond to signals, play a role you did not write yourself. Or you can do something far scarier, and at the same time far more powerful. Become the author of your own erotic story, because the voice whispering in your ear right now, "Don't show yourself, don't be so direct. What if he rejects you?" That voice is not yours. It is the echo of centuries of conditioning that taught us female desire must be discreet, quiet, almost invisible. But what if the greatest risk is not rejection, but silence? What if the real failure would be to pass through someone's life like a shadow, without ever showing him the fire you carry inside? The next time you feel those sparks, that desire for someone, don't ask yourself what he might think. Ask yourself what you deserve to experience. You deserve a desire that is a dialogue, not a monologue. You deserve the electricity of shared vulnerability. You deserve to feel the power of a woman who is mistress of her own pleasure and intention. Do not wait for him to give you permission to desire him. Show him how you desire, and he will not only become addicted to your fire, you will finally become addicted to your own freedom. Now the conversation is yours. I would love to know what this has sparked in you. So leave me your thoughts in the comments. And if you are ready to dive deeper into the secrets of attraction and emotional power, then subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.